got Rockwool going up. So this stuff's going up pretty easy. It's just friction fit in. Michael Crane from Rockwool is coming out tomorrow, and we're gonna be doing it all day. We're spending the night tonight. Yeah, it'll be fun. Today we're here again with Michael Crane. Thanks for coming out.
Thanks for having me.
Good to see you again.
Yeah, you as well.
So last night we brought up some Rockwool and started going, and we almost got the entire upstairs insulated. It started going really fast, just tearing open the bags and putting it in.
Tell you what, when you start going, it goes really fast, especially on roof systems. There's not a lot of obstructions in them, so the install goes really quick.
Yeah, we ended up spending the night up here last night, and it was really warm and cozy up here. Also, sounds completely different here, really quiet. I mean, even with just the comfort board outside alone, it was already warm in here, but now this is just another level in here.
Yeah. Yeah, y'all still have the roof to do too on the outside, so I can imagine that you could feel a different point of view by adding the insulation to the ceiling.
So last night we basically just started anywhere where there weren't any obstructions, but then we kind of started getting to some places over here where we have some rafters going through or some wiring, and we figured we should wait for you to kind of show us what we need to do in those spots.
Yeah, you definitely want to cut out for these flower rafters going across. Just so that, you know, that batt fits nicely into the cavity. It's not crammed. Anytime we cram our insulation, we're reducing the R value of it. Okay. And so we want to cut nicely. I see that, you know, y'all cut this at an angle to make a nice meet right there instead of just kind of cramming it into this awkward angle. And so that's also going to help out. You know, and it just fills out. It's not forced into a cavity, and so you're going to maximize the R value that this provides.
Right. So it's always better to cut it and get it sitting in there instead of just cramming it in.
Exactly. All right. Exactly. And same goes for any obstructions, whether it be wires, gang boxes. You want it to fit nicely in there. You don't want it pinched in there. Where we're causing the fibers to kind of compress into each other.
Well, maybe we should grab a bag of Rockwool and open it up and start putting some up.
Let's knock the rest of this one out, and then we can focus on downstairs.
Let's do it. All right, so we hauled a bunch of Rockwool out here, and one thing I have to say about this, we've been sitting on this for a long time. Had it about 15 months. This just been sitting out here, and the ones we've opened so far, there's been no insects inside, no mice, and out here we have field mice everywhere. They get into literally everything, so it was really shocking for us to see that these are still in great condition.
Well, yeah, that's one of the attributes of our products that it's really not maximized the most, but it's inorganic, so there's no food source. Even the kind of thermal performance and cushiness of our product, you know, the animals just kind of stay away. Bugs or rodents, whatever it may be, you know, they just stay away from the product. It's great. I've seen many product on a job site that's, you know, covered as much as it can be, but it's still on a job site for a long time, and it just it's very resilient.
Honestly, I think they're missing out. That's right where I'd want to be if I was an animal.
There's a reason they're not there.
So I think we should grab maybe this one right here.
This one looks good. I see y'all slid it open if it got any moisture so it could dry out. So that's perfect. This is a good one.
There were some of them we slid open because they were just bubbled up with water.
That's the one thing I tell people, if moisture gets into the bag, just slit the bottom of it open, stand it on its end, and it'll drain out. Give it a day or so. And
so it's just not even a problem if it gets wet?
Not even a problem.
I mean, we've been just really worried. We didn't think it would take us this long to get to it. So, you know, we see it getting rained on and just having it out in the elements for so long, rain, snow, everything. So it's really good that it's still holding up after all this time.
Well, as you can see, I mean, the bags take the biggest hit. I mean, this one's got dirt on it. You get a little bit of UV kind of discoloration in the bags, but the product itself, it's just like it came out of the factory.
All right, so, yeah. let's grab some and take it in.
Perfect. we have a few safety supplies. When you're working indoors, you need your eye protection, gloves, as well as a particle mask. So once you start cutting, some little small particles will get into the air, and so we want to try to keep those out. I got a little holster for my knife, makes it easy, clip on my belt. Same for this, as well as a magnetic tape measure. Situations like this, if you don't have an extra gang box, just find something round close to it. This cup's pretty close, and I may go with that just because it's a little bit smaller than that box, just so it kind of fits around. And even this is right on point with it. You can find things around the, your job that easily can make this, because that's a hard one, just kind of eye around. Roughly around 10 inches.
I think it's so satisfying how it just friction fits in there.
Yeah, the friction fit's nice.
One of the things we've noticed cutting this is it's really not itchy like regular fiberglass is.
No.
Last time we got covered in it was a little bit itchy, but after we took a shower, like it all came off.
Yeah, as you sweat, your pores are going to naturally open up, and our product's made out of rock, so there's a little abrasiveness, but it's not really bad. It doesn't get stuck in there, and usually a shower takes it right out. So that's why we encourage people to wear gloves. I have contractors that I deal with on a daily basis that refuse to. So not saying we do not condone that, but yeah, it's their prerogative, And so yeah, it's really easy. It's just, what I like about it is it reminds me of woodworking. You can get a nice, precise cut.
All right, so now we're gonna get started in the kitchen with just our normal 16-inch stud wall, and we got some wires and boxes, and also some other plumbing stuff that we have to kind of form a strategy for.
Pretty simple, one of the tips and tricks I tell, and I think I said something about it earlier, is have an extra gang box around, just so when you're measuring, you have it there. You just place it on the back, trace it out, cut it out. It's real quick and easy. Our wires are pretty easy once we get to them. We're just scoring a line and just going to encapsulate around them. So we know it comes up to 4 foot, which I think is probably around this height here. So we'll have to score, it won't be, some people will just cut it right there and sandwich it in. But it's just a slit of the bat and just encapsulating over. It's really simple. This one right here is going to be a little more challenging, but not terrible. We have this pipe coming down. We're going to have this bat coming up. What we're going to do is we're just going to score the bat on the inside. So that way we're coming in from around, and this pipe here is going to just kind of reset in. Since y'all do have the pipe running on the exposed side, at some point this thing's going to have to transition from the inside of the cavity to the outside. I'm not sure if y'all are finishing this or not, but either way we want to have that pipe wrapped in insulation, so that way in cold weather it doesn't freeze.
Yeah, and so on our plumbing down here, we had put the majority of it on the inside of the wall, so it's easy to get to and replace if we need to, and just to eliminate any chance of it ever freezing in the future. So all this is going to be behind cabinets and the washer, so there's only a couple places we'll have to cover up.
Yeah, one thing I want to point out is, y'all are doing a hybrid assembly, meaning y'all have got insulation inside your cavities as well as outside. You could have also done this where it's all outside in climate zones 1 through 3.
Really?
Yeah, 1 through 3, you could have continuous insulation outside. You can actually do continuous on the outside of a building in all climate zones.
So would that just be one really thick comfort board?
It'd be really one thick, yeah. So probably in this climate, I'd say in our a 4-inch comfort board. I think y'all did 1.5 on the outside. So yeah.
Man,
so you'd be bumping it up on the outside 3.5 inches.
You're telling me we wouldn't have done any of this?
You wouldn't have to do any of these wall cavities. These would be service chases at that point.
Wow.
And so I like that assembly because it knocks out thermal bridging from our studs, and all that is radiation. So if we traditional framing, and actually framing nationwide is getting bigger, where they're asking people to go put more insulation in their wall cavities for energy codes, going from a 2x4 framing to a 2x6 framing. Well, if all the insulation's on the outside, guess what? We can reduce our framing package, which can be expensive. And so reducing it to just a 2x4 package is huge. You can take that savings and put it on the outside of your wall. One more thing that I wanted to bring up is we did already slice open a bag upstairs, and I showed you how I like to do it, so that way it brings up a nice workspace when you're opening it up. It's right in front of you. One thing to note is our packages are different. So upstairs we cut it open like this.
Right.
Well, with 16-inch walls and our 16-inch material, we're going to cut it open like this, long ways. We have more bats in them. It's also narrower, just point of reference.
Satisfying cut. I love how it just expands right when you slice it with a knife.
And there it is, ready to work.
This stuff is so much more fluffy than the comfort board. I don't know why I wasn't expecting it to be like this, but it's nice. All right, so we are wrapped up with our kitchen exterior walls now, and we also finished up upstairs, so really we're about 50% done. We're moving right along with it. I mean, I'd say the most tedious part is just, since we have stuff everywhere, having to move everything around. And also in the kitchen, we had all these windows, so we had a bunch of odd sizes between the studs. But the rest of the house has less of that, so we should be able to get the rest of it knocked out next week. But we ended up spending the afternoon repairing some leaks in our roof. We've had a couple spots where after we added our overhangs that some water started leaking in, so we were able to reuse some old metal and hopefully get it to a place where it's not going to leak anymore, because we don't want any of that new Rockwool up there getting saturated. We think we were able to get something that'll work until we're able to get our new roof. And we also ended up having a couple bags of Rockwool that had gotten rainwater inside of them. So one thing Michael told us is if we just stand the bags up vertically, the water will drain out of them. So we tried that with some of the ones that were wet, and the water just started dripping out instantly. So those should all be good to go for next week, and we should be able to knock out the rest of it. And then we also have some fun tests to do. We have a thermal camera, so we'll be able to do some stuff with that. And I also hear that Rockwool is pretty fire resistant, so we'll get to play around with that too. But I want to give a big thank you to Michael Crane for coming out for the day and helping us out. It was really nice having him here to give us some tips and tricks and just help us out, and we really appreciate it. And also a huge shout out to Rockwool for providing all the products. This house and this property is something that we never plan to sell. We want to keep this in the family for a long time, so it feels good that we're going to be insulating our house with something that's really durable, something that's really safe, and something that'll last a lifetime. So just a huge shout out to Rockwool for sending us their product and helping us achieve that. And also a big thank you to everyone that backs us over on Patreon, and just everyone who's liked the video and subscribed. Really appreciate it, and we'll see you guys next time.